And ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, welcome to the live coverage of the crew launch of the Leo crew module. This is the fourth launch attempt of this vessel. Once again with the original crew on board, Yuri Kegarin, Kaylee Keston, and Scott Kent, who will be launching in approximately 51 and a half minutes from China in an attempt to intercept the collaborative space station as part of the CAP's resupply, refueling, and crew stationing missions. If you're just joining us, we're inside roughly 51 minutes to countdown, and here in a little while we'll be having a recap of yesterday's events and the goals of the mission. To follow along in real time, be sure to check out our website, kerbalrealtime.com, for mission information, important dates, and live tracking of the 3D craft and vessels in the Kerbal real-time system. And as we come inside 45 minutes to launch, now is a good opportunity to talk about the launch profile today. The crew of 3 will be launching on top of the LEO crew module rocket out of Jichang, China. As of right now, they will be estimated to take an approximately 30-minute approach to intercept the station. There is a chance for that intercept time to deviate in both directions. It is currently daytime in China. We're planning for a UTC launch time of 042300 today. That is 042300. In China, that will be approximately a local time of just after noon, 12:23 p.m., just after noon in China. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining, we're coming inside 40 minutes to launch. If you're looking at the views from the screen now, you can see the crew out on the arm taking their last stroll about on terrestrial Earth before they're launched for an intercept to the collaborative space station. A little bit of information about the crew today. The crew of Yuri, Scott, and Kaylee is a team of 2 experienced Kerbinauts. You can see Yuri there on the screen walking around on the crew access arm just outside the rocket access hatch. Yuri Kegarin is, of course, the very first Kerbal who went to space here in the Kerbal Real-Time universe. So this is a moment of great pride to have him returning not just to space, but to his first orbital mission and his first visit to the collaborative space station. Kaylee Keston, who is an engineer and a trained pilot herself, has the ability to deal with complex problems and is well revered in the Kerbinaut community. As such, she has been elected the chief engineer of the collaborative space station and will be staying on board for a period of time in order to help with ongoing projects and further construction. And lastly, Scott Kent is undertaking his first trip to space today as a member of this collaborative crew and as a member of the CAPS astronaut and Kerbinaut Corps. We're pleased to see him undertaking his first mission today. As we come inside 38 minutes to launch, stay tuned for more information and updates on the status of the launch and the rocket as we get closer to the terminal count. And we have a great view of the craft on the launch pad there. The Leo crew module getting ready for launch. And an update on the countdown leading into today's mission. We are currently go for launch. A beautiful, beautiful blue sky there just above the launch pad. Information about today's launch and information about the status of the crew, other missions, upcoming missions, public meetings, forums, and taxpayer announcements can be found on the organizational website, kerbalrealtime.com. The current path of the collaborative space station has it currently going southeast over South America, and it will be passing just below the southern tip of Africa and then again to the northeast as it approaches Southeast Asia and China, passing off the southern coast of Sri Lanka. And if you're just joining, I am your Public Relations Director, Admiral Radish. Your flight controller, Grateful Deadbeat, will be piloting today. The crew of 3, Kaylee, Scott, and Yuri, are all on board and ready for flight. Any questions about the launch profile today, the crew on board, or further information about the mission should be asked in the chat or on the Discord, where we're willing to provide documentation and further correspondence with the crew and mission staff. And as we hit T-minus 30 minutes to launch, all is green. We are go for launch. We'll be checking once again for the count at T-minus 10, and the terminal go, no go at T minus 5 minutes. As part of the rocket preparedness procedure, we do expect retraction of the crew access arm also at T minus 10 minutes, and we will be covering that here. Our hope is at some point before launch today, we will be able to discuss the flight profile with the launch director and the flight control, as well as continue the coverage after launch today through to intercept. Now, once again, the launch profile and the flight profile are being hand flown, and so there is variability in the posted timeline as adjustments are made. And for those of you just joining, as we approach 25 minutes to launch, we are expecting an on-time liftoff from Jicheng, China today. Some more information about the launch. We are expecting a UTC time of 042300, approximate liftoff time. We will be departing to the northeast, an intercept to the northeast, approximately 47 degrees. The station does orbit around 360 kilometers in altitude, and that will be our intercept and target apoapsis for the ascent today. On the launch profile, the initial ascent and takeoff will be handled by Grateful Deadbeat. Admiral Radish will be catching the booster. Still planning the specifics of the booster touchdown point, but it's looking like it's going to be over continental China at this time. And some good news from here in the public relations booth. We will be having an interview with flight controller and launch controller Grateful Deadbeat here at the T-minus 20-minute mark, T-minus 20-minute mark. So any questions should be sent quickly within the next 2.5 minutes for discussion with flight controller Grateful Deadbeat, T-minus 20 minutes. Sir. And, ladies and gentlemen, You're listening to live launch coverage of the Leo Crew module from Xicheng, China, targeted in approximately 20 minutes. I am your public relations director, Admiral Radish, here to interview the flight controller for the night, Grateful Deadbeat. Grateful, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to be back again tonight. This is our redemption arc. We're going to do it.
That's great news. I know that the public is very excited to have you here and to have you back. And even after the excitement of yesterday, I think it was a great success for the Collaborative Space Agency. So do you want to give people a quick recap on what happened in yesterday's flight?
Yes, so yesterday we had a number of errors, mostly through one, the overpass calculator that we use to figure out these launches to the space station. Two, in general, misflight and incorrect trajectories. And three, Yuri Kegarin did not have his magic feather on his person. We are assured that he does have it today. I repeat, he does have it today, the same magic feather he used to get to space the first time.
Excellent. Yuri Gagarin, I repeat, Yuri Gagarin has the magic feather.
Correction, Yuri Kegarin.
Kegarin, thank you. Yuri Kegarin. Joined by his crewmates Kaylee Keston and Scott Kent tonight. So what did the 3 flights yesterday consist of?
Now, yesterday we sent out on 3 somewhat different suborbital flights that took us to low Earth altitude, or space above low Earth. And each one allowed the crew to come back in a very successful manner. Everybody was brought home safely. Everyone enjoyed their trip. And overall, it was a good training experience. It was good practice for this craft that we are using to know that the booster is as recoverable as it is 3 times in a row, and the craft itself was able to bring them home 3 times in a row.
And
so though we did not make our mark,
a lesson in robustness.
Yes, exactly.
We like robust Kerbinauts here in our program, and that was great to see. That was really great to see. So, as we prepare for the launch this evening, what is the same as the launch from yesterday? What is different?
So today, we're taking off from Xicheng, China. This is easily one of my favorite launch sites. If I remove from the map view here, we can look around. Absolute beautiful mountain range in this north-south valley. Completely stunning with these beautiful snow-topped peaks. And settled down here in the middle of the valley is our launch site. Not only that, it is the single highest launch site on the Sol mod. So this is what's my special favorite thing about this. It is higher up than everything else. You can see we're at 1,575 meters above sea level.
Excellent. Excellent. Have you made any changes to the vehicle?
Yes, today the vehicle, we have slightly extra fuel in the upper stage. The lower stage has a slightly enlarged parachute on one side to help with the symmetry of its landing. And I do believe we removed 1 or 2 different lights and maybe an umbilical. But overall, same system. We're going to be flying in the same manner. Excellent. And we have the same crew from our first launch of yesterday. We felt that it was owed to them to make this trip. Like we said, Yuri Kegarin, first Kerbal in space, Kaylee Keston, returning to the space station and flying on his first trip. And he will be returning home while the other 2 stay for a month-long tenure, as Scott Kent has been chosen for the Polyphemus mission. And this is a mission planned in June to visit an asteroid as it flies by Earth.
And we are very excited about that mission. The current target date for that launch is June 14th, USA time, June 14th, USA time, just before noon on the in the central mountain time zone. So Polyphemus launch, Scott Kent, exciting stuff. What's in your head as you prepare for the launch this evening?
Well, I'd say that I'm looking to keep things a bit tighter than yesterday. Would like to focus more on the positioning of the space station than getting it right down at the countdown timer. That is one thing I would like to note, that we do have a somewhat, I would say, 30-second margin on either side of the countdown timer where we will be launching from. And I will say that again, we may not be launching directly at the 0-second mark. We're going to be launching when it is optimal for the launch.
Which is the prudent choice. A couple questions from the audience before we enter into the T-minus 10-minute terminal count. Is there taxpayer-funded fireworks included with this launch?
Oh, I do not believe so.
An item for the next one. Second
Check
question.
real quick. Nope.
No taxpayer-funded fireworks.
No taxpayer-funded fireworks today. Sorry.
Is there any expectation of death, maiming, or injury in the launch today?
Absolutely not.
Under no circumstances whatsoever, no. Is there any faith that after 3 aborts this will actually work?
Oh, absolutely. It was kind of a nervous fluke, I would say, that we failed that many times in a row.
Yeah, we're usually very good.
In the end, we trained a lot of Kerbals. A lot of people got to witness the launch and stuck around and saw what was happening. Are back today to see the actual successful flight. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it. These guys are going to do it.
What would you say about the allegations that you are involved in the Jeb files?
No. Next question.
How did the crew get to China so quickly?
Okay, so the crew actually took another suborbital flight earlier when we failed again.
Yeah, we just use rockets for everything.
No, we actually have a high-speed barge that ships them around the world.
They lay down flat on the barge and it just moves them.
You gotta lay down flat and like put your feet against the
something
leeward
hard
side, or you're gonna like the G-forces kind of like smush them.
It's like standing, but in the horizontal direction.
We don't use centrifugal force to train our astronauts. We use high-speed barge.
No need for a G-force spinner. High-speed barge. And lastly, what are your future goals with the collaborative space station?
Now, I would say getting it to a shape where we can move interplanetary from there, sending out interplanetary craft that we send up to the station, refuel it, get it built the way we want it, and then send it out. And there's a couple plans for that, especially coming in October, November for the Mars missions. So
and
those things are in development, but not quite fleshed out yet.
One of the nice new things about the mission calendar on the Kerbal Real-Time website, if you haven't seen it, kerbalrealtime.com, it does show the transfer windows for the planets in relation to where they should be in our solar system. So if you look to October 2026, you'll see a very nice, healthy transfer window for Mars in particular. So definitely go take a look at that. Pay very close attention to how we schedule missions around those transfer windows. Deadbeat, any last words?
Yes, I would like to announce to the taxpayers that we are going to be holding a taxpayer forum later this month, where everybody will be allowed to make input on the upcoming Neptune mission. That'll be including the name, the itinerary, and moon flybys we choose to do. So if you're
we'll-
enjoying our things that we're doing here, do come back and check that out.
Do you anticipate we may want to hold a forum on the Polyphemus mission in the near future?
Potentially, maybe just a public forum for. I'm not quite sure. That mission's actually pretty well fleshed out as of right now. We have that nailed down. The craft is made. The crew has been selected. The only thing that we really don't have is a launch site, because we're not quite within the frame of planning that yet.
Soon, though. Well, as we come inside, T-minus 10 minutes, we'll prepare to retract the crew arm and do our final system checks. Deadbeat, thank you for joining us.
Thank you as much as I am very much happy to have everybody here. We're going to do this tonight. Thank you, Admiral Radish, for setting this all up, getting our stream going, getting the server going. You are the man.
And you are the pilot. Thank you, everyone, as we come inside. 8 minutes and 30 seconds now. A couple more notes about the final launch and descent profile. We're expecting an apoapsis around 360 kilometers. The first burn should take approximately 3 to 3.5 minutes for the first stage to fall off. There could be a slight change to the timeline of that burn, given that we have a slightly different fuel profile today. Given the ideal reduction in thrust to weight for the later portion of the burn profile, we may expect a longer burn from the later portion of the first stage as well. So I do expect to see that first stage burn fall off at a later position. We're still expecting recovery somewhere in the northern steppes of China, potentially in southern Russia, approaching the Korean peninsula. The crew of Yuri Kegarin, Kaylee Keston, and Scott Kent is ready to go. The crew arm is retracted, and we still have green all-go signals from Mission Control as we come inside and approaching 7 minutes to launch here at the Collaborative Space Agency. And 5 minutes and 45 seconds to launch. An update on some of our other ongoing missions here at Kerbal Real Time. Spez has a number of ongoing missions that are currently exploring and preparing to explore deep space, including the Spez Valorant mission, which in the next few days should be making its maneuver towards Saturn. It has been actually proceeding closer towards the sun in anticipation for a more effective maneuver to make that transfer burn, which should be occurring in the near future. In other news, CASA announced an initiative to begin a series of flight testing programs in order to explore airplanes, aircraft, and aerodynamics on Earth and in the Sol system. As we now approach and are at 5 minutes to launch, we're coming inside the terminal count, and we are awaiting the final go, no-go poll from the mission director.
The flight director, we are going to be go for launch today. I repeat, we are go for launch.
And that is go for launch. I repeat, we have a go for launch from the flight director. So 4 minutes and 25 seconds on the launch timer. There may be some slight flexibility in the exact T+0 time, depending on the instantaneous launch window positioning of the Collaborative Space Agency. 4 minutes and 5 seconds to launch. And we are at 3 minutes to launch. 3 minutes to launch. As we approach T-minus 22 minutes and 20 seconds to launch, engine cooldown should be occurring right now on the lower 5 engines. We have reached complete fuel topping. The launch escape system at T-minus 2 minutes, armed and primed, and the crew is ready to go. We do have a go from the mission director for the flight tonight, and inside the T-minus 2 minute mark, T-minus 2 minute mark, we are go for launch. We are targeting a launch window instantaneous at 042300 UTC. And at T-minus 1 minute 30 seconds to launch. And a moment of recognition for all of those taxpayers out there who support these missions and make everything possible here at Kerbal Real Time. At T-minus 1 minute to launch, we are inside the terminal count. I repeat, inside the terminal count. And it looks like we have a abort, a launch abort. Looking here, we have a call, a launch abort from the system. We have a sudden and instantaneous Kraken invasion. As the Kraken would say. This is indicating a need for higher taxes. And to those taxpayers out there, we appreciate your sudden and complete support of our tax increase. And we have a liftoff time at 4:24. 13. 4:24:13. Grateful Dead beat piloting as we plan for an intercept with the station. In this case, the extra ability and capabilities of the LEO crew module proving beneficial in both increasing the orbital apoapsis, suborbital apoapsis quickly, and getting us to the ascending node with the station effectively. Note that mission controllers are working to reset the active timer on the stream. We do have a corrected burn time, T plus 2 minutes. And as we finish the first stage burn, expecting separation of the second stage and ejection of the launch escape system before an immediate progression into the second stage burn. And there we see second stage ignition and burn. as we're coming up on T plus 5 minutes, you can see that we are finally approaching an intercept position with the collaborative space station. T plus 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your flight director, Grateful Deadbeat. We are now announcing that we have a successful intercept and launch. We are go for further mission. I repeat, we are go for further mission today. We will be coming up to the space station within our intercept time, 5 minutes, 40 seconds. I will repeat that it'll have an extra margin of at least 2 minutes on it. So I will give it intercept at 7 minutes, 30 seconds.
And if you're just joining us, T plus 7 minutes, that was an announcement from the launch director, Grateful Deadbeat, saying that we do have a successful plan to intercept the station, the collaborative space station. And with that, we do have a successful switch to the booster as well. The booster is in recovery mode, still planning an exact touchdown position. Overall, a great success so far for our first launch of the day here at the Collaborative Space Agency. And we're now just coming up on T plus 10 minutes. And we can see that we have an intersect with the station 3 minutes from now, planning on an intersect at T plus 12:45 approximately T plus 1245 from launch to intersect with the collaborative space station, this marking a successful ascent above the atmosphere for Yuri Kegarin for the first time since his historic flight as the first Kerbal to visit space, as well as return to space for Kaylee Keston, the new chief engineer of the collaborative space station. Also, a special congratulations to Scott Kent on his first visit to space, as all three of them are now planned for an intercept here with the station in approximately 2 minutes and 10 seconds. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And just now, there we can see some views through the windows of the crew of the Leo crew module with its first successful ascent into orbit and successful ascent to the collaborative space station. Hand flown in the ascent by flight controller and flight director Grateful Deadbeat. And as we approach less than 1 minute towards station intersect, the orbit approach has been fine-tuned approximately 200 meters from the station at the point of closest intercept. There were some questions to the press box and the press office here about the Kraken attack and launch perturbations, time dilations that may have occurred at the T+0 marker. We have reviewed the footage and found no aberrations or errors in the system, and the launch, for all intents and purposes, was perfect, beautiful, and flawless. So please direct any errant requests and misinformations, such as maybe floating around, to the press box and the press office here, and myself, Director Admiral Radish. You can see we are on final approach now, approximately 46 seconds, and a steady deceleration towards the station.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the flight director. From here, we are witnessing a potential Kraken attack on the station. We see a robotic arm on one of the solar panels. We are not letting the Kerbals come any closer at this time. I repeat, we are not letting them go in for docking. Kaylee's got some fixing to do.
Take the control from here on down. So that's exciting. So with that, we heard that announcement from the flight director. We're making sure the Kraken is satiated and well before we do any closer approaching to the station. You can see there we're at a standoff distance of approximately 300 to 400 meters. But the crew is happy, healthy, within close range of the station, and we are in a position where preparing for docking is possible. Flight Director Grateful Deadbeat has indicated that the efforts to resecure the station against the constant bloodlusting thirst of the Kraken has been successful so far, and that we are still in a position within the original 35-minute window to prepare for a possible docking. We're going to decrease the standoff distance to the station to within approximately 200 meters, targeting 190 meters approximately, before we prepare for docking with the station. And if you're just joining us, you're looking at live views of the Leo Crew module's approach to the collaborative space station. The Leo Crew module departed from Xicheng, China, 18 minutes and 30 seconds ago. The launch to intercept successful at an instantaneous launch window, currently marked at 042413 UTC on May the 10th. With an intercept time below 20 minutes, this does constitute an instantaneous launch to intercept window. It is also a good indicator that the changes to the overpass calculator and the corrections that were made following yesterday's scrubbed launch have been corrected. But given with standard design protocol, we will continue to monitor fixes, changes, and enhancements to the system for the foreseeable future. As we approach within the standoff distance of the station, it appears as though stability has been achieved with the robotics and solar panels that were originally concerning flight control and the mission director. And we're approaching the target and docking zone at 2.4 meters per second. You can see the current status of the three Kerbinauts, Yuri, Kaylee, and Scott there on the screen. And we're coming in now to T plus 20 minutes since launch from Xicheng, China by the Collaborative Space Agency.
ladies and gentlemen, this is your flight director, Grateful Deadbeat speaking. We do have successful rendezvous with the station. The Kraken experience we were dealing with earlier has been quelled, as Admiral Radish has said, our public assistance director. And we do see a couple pieces out of place, a solar panel turned wrong, a strut out of place with the blinking red lights on the end of the panels. This is all alright. This is going to be the first order of business for our noble engineer, Kaylee Keston, who is familiar with the station. Here we can see above Earth that we are slowly making our way into docking. Currently, we are above the Pacific Ocean. Vast and large. I do anticipate we'll be docking within the next 2 minutes. If you have been watching with us since first launch, I would like to say thank you. If you've been waiting to see this happen successfully since yesterday, I apologize and thank you for your patience. Ladies and gentlemen, I will kick it back over to Admiral Radish. Thank you for watching.
At T plus 23 minutes, I can confirm that we have a successful splashdown of the Leo Crew Module booster, which was recovered in the steppes of China. We are on the final approach towards the station at a extremely slow, gentle, and design correct 0.2 meter per second approach towards the docking station. If you are not familiar with the layout of the station has a few key components to it, including a crew area, a docking wing, 2 large robotic solar panel arrays, and an area for fuel storage, which is horizontally expandable using a series of modular fuel tanks designed by Grateful Deadbeat. The collaborative space station orbits in a high inclination orbit to allow for maximum launch potential from multiple areas, multiple locations on the globe per day. We're within our final approach now to the station, and beyond the final standoff distance to the station. Within 50 meters now. And approaching T plus 25 minutes into the mission. We're about to be 40 meters away, getting a great view of the Leo module here. Solar panels extended, engine off for approach, and the crew prepared for docking. Yuri Kegarin and Kaylee Keston, of course, getting their first look at their new home for the next 30 days after their initial mission period. Scott Kent still familiarizing himself with space for the first time. Only 25 minutes into his first trip to Earth orbit. And if you're just joining us, we're past T plus 26.5 minutes since launch from China of the Leo Crew module, now within 20 meters of our final approach to the collaborative space station, getting our first view there of the docking area, docking wing of the collaborative space station. The multi-port docking adapters there, meant to be compatible with multiple vessels at a time and allow for maximum expansion of the station. Another note about the improvements to the second stage of the vehicle today, you can see that there is still plenty of Delta V left over in the stage for orbital operations, potential transfer to the station, refueling from the station, and eventual return of the crew, in this case, once another vehicle is available, just Scott Kent, to Earth. And now within the final 10 meters, as we watch the docking here of the Leo Crew module to the collaborative space station. And to final docking time, 27:54, T plus 27:54. Mission time to docking, a congratulations to the launch director, Grateful Deadbeat, and the crew, Yuri, Kaylee, and Scott, who have taken their first trip to the collaborative space station as long-term members and long-time residents. This is also a tremendous moment for the CAPS program, seeing the first establishment of a long-term crew here on the station. Here shortly, we'll be having a discussion with launch director and flight director, Grateful Deadbeat, about the process of today's launch, as well as plans for future operations. And there we go. You can see it there. A great view here on Kerbal Real Time of the vessel, the crew Leo module, docked to the collaborative space station. And we'll sit here and just enjoy the views of space as the sun sets. Now, a note that we will be going into dark for approximately 40 to 45 minutes, and I have notes from the mission director here that the plan on the other side of that for sunrise will be to do EVA operations, science EVA operations with the Kerbals. So we do have an extended operation plan for the evening, and during the solar night for the collaborative space station, while in the shadow of the Earth, we will be doing a live discussion of the launch, ascent, the plan for EVA operations, as well as future operations for the station. As the public relations director, I can now say that the questions are open on YouTube chat and in Discord. We will be taking questions at this time, and I will be announcing a conference time here in the very near future. As we see the sunset now, there behind the collaborative space station, you're watching Real Time Kerbal. So the current plan is to have the press conference. As an announcement from the press director, the current plan is to have the press conference at T plus 40 minutes. T plus 40 minutes with a potential delay if there are still incoming questions at the time. That is in approximately 7 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your flight and operator today. We have successfully moved the crew into the crew cabin. They are now getting situated. They are taking a look at their space. They are dealing with all their trash, refuse, garbage, and junk. Very soon we will be holding our press conference, and you will hear more from us then. Thank you for hanging out. Sunrise will be coming in roughly 30 to 35 minutes.
And if you just heard that announcement from our flight director, Grateful Deadbeat, the crew has been successfully moved into the crew cabin, and they are getting situated and used to their new places here aboard the station in zero gravity. Here in the next few minutes, we'll be holding a conference about the launch and descent of the Leo crew module from China, as well as the plan for station operations, EVA operations here, when the sun rises again on the collaborative space station, as well as taking questions from you, the taxpayers, about the events of this evening. If you've been watching along so far, we appreciate you joining us, and we recommend you follow along with this mission and upcoming missions via our website, KerbalRealTime.com. I'm your PR director, Admiral Radish, and we look forward to chatting here in just a few minutes. And if you're just following along, this is Admiral Radish, the press director for Kerbal Real Time and for the Collaborative Space Agency. We'll be beginning the press conference here in just about 2 minutes. And ladies and gentlemen, this is your PR director, Admiral Radish, here joined by the flight director for the night, who is also in charge of launch and ascent, Grateful Deadbeat. Grateful Deadbeat.
Hello
Thank you
and
for
good
joining
evening.
us. It's great to have you here.
Well, it was a great
Yes,
launch today. Great to be
really
here.
was just a great launch. First off, how do you feel it went? Do you have any notes? There are people asking about some sort of anomaly at T+0. Do you know anything about that you have to say to the taxpayers out there?
The T+0 anomaly, we're still looking into it. Looking over the footage, the engines simply didn't fire for whatever reason. They were staged, they were at full throttle, and they did not fire. Our quick reset contingency with the special sky crane that came out and lifted it back up and clamped it back in place near instantly, saved the mission and allowed us to launch at T+2 minutes, which then led to the first stage, the mule booster, being used to perform more of a lateral speed than vertical speed. And that gave us the necessary velocity to catch up with the station.
Excellent. Excellent. From that point, from when the first stage separated to the second stage, was there anything particularly you were looking at? Was the flight generally healthy? Did you have any concerns?
At that point, no. I could see the speed between the two objects, and visually, I could kind of get the feel that they were heading in the same general speed to the same point. And before I even got those intersect nodes, I knew we would be fairly close on this attempt. And so by the time that we dropped off the mule booster and the actual Leo module started heading out with its Wolfhound, I was pretty confident.
Excellent. For this specific crewed mission, there's a plan, it sounds like, to split the crew up into two different groups. Will we be launching another vessel to meet at the station in order to take one of these groups home? Will we be leaving them without a vessel here on the station?
No. So to answer that, it is against the law for any Kerbal to be in space with no way home. They need an immediate and safe way home at all times. So the next mission is likely either going to be a crew mission with the new cupola module attachment, or we're going to send the emergency escape systems that we have designed. And there's going to be two of these, and at any given moment, they can be decoupled from the station itself and send the Kerbals immediately back to Earth at a safe trajectory. So there are a couple modules in plan for the next, I'd say 3 weeks, maybe, for our Kerbals. But until then, we're just going to enjoy this crew.
Excellent. Kaylee Keston is the new chief engineer of the station. Do you have any immediate plans with her?
So, immediately after sunrise here, we are going to have her get out and check out some of the effects that earlier noted Kraken attack had on our station. Nothing is severe. The most major thing I noted was that the two robotic hinges that fold up the arms when they were launched were no longer locked in place. And that was done when they were first docked. And that allowing it to swing freely was our biggest problem. But once they got closed and locked into place, all was good.
Excellent. So what is the plan for science operations then?
So we are going to have our scientist, Scott Kent, seen on the left here. He is going to be in the onboard science module, the laboratory, performing some scientific experiments and doing general crew operations along with everybody else. And he is gaining experience needed for his upcoming asteroid mission on the Polyphemus mission in June.
And what does that mission entail?
That mission is going to entail 3 Kerbals sending or going to an asteroid that is currently on trajectory to fly by Earth. Now, once they are there, they're going to set up a probe system that will remain attached to the asteroid itself. It's going to have a camera, it's going to have antennas, and hopefully it's going to act as a test to see how far a few low-range antennas can sustain connection from Earth as it flies away. Now, the crew itself will be detaching before the asteroid begins to fly away from Earth again. The plan is for them to, at the lowest point on the flyby, decouple and head back.
But because of the speed of the asteroid, I assume that is a fuel-assisted maneuver.
Oh, very much so, yes.
That's great. An astronaut mission to a visiting asteroid is the definition of pushing Kerbal boundaries forward, which is what this organization is about. And I think it's a good thing to remind people that I take the spending of taxpayer money very seriously, above all else. And the issues that we experienced yesterday, I think, are really a failure in oversight, because we probably couldn't hire enough oversight people due to someone out there failing to pay their taxes. So we appreciate you, the hardworking taxpayers who help support these missions. Now, before we move into daylight and have to resume EVA operations, I think it's only appropriate first to say, are there any other comments about the mission today, Deadbeat, that you would like to make before we move into the question and answer portion of the evening?
Yes. Okay, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so I just got word from Scott Kent, ladies and gentlemen. He says that he has not paid his taxes. That is right. He is in space and he has not paid his taxes.
It sounds as though the Kerbal Revenue Service will make an exemption for astronauts in space.
No, of course they won't.
I see that there are...
He will be flogged. He will be placed into a major centrifuge that will be spun to the South Pole.
Construction will begin immediately.
We are going to take the value that he did not give to us out of him through testing.
We will at some point need to hold a public forum about what the average tax rate is of a Kerbal citizen. Currently, I believe we know that it's however many people you see at the station and hour 18. It's a finite number. Scott Kent.
And ladies and gentlemen, as we are coming over what I believe is the Atacama Desert in Argentina, we are going to take your questions now.
Let's begin with some of the early questions. How do you guys get the craft to keep moving? Do you always have the game open? Yes.
I will let you take that
Yes,
one.
the answer is yes. In a way, we always have the game open. The server works by calculating where everything should be from the time the server started. And so we can extrapolate from there where all the vessels are supposed to be and where everything is supposed to be, just based on knowing what time the server was turned on. So we don't have to actually leave it open all the time. Separately, we do leave the Twitch stream open all the time.
Not on our personal PCs. We don't have Kerbal running all the time.
We do have it running all the time on the Twitch streaming PC. Twitch.tv/Kerbal Realtime. Twitch.tv/Kerbal Realtime.
Next question.
Let's see. Looking here, what are the long-term plans for the space station? Is there a plan to convert it into a larger vessel and send it elsewhere? Do you plan to deorbit it? If so, when?
Ooh, lots of stuff to unpack here. So we more or less, I think, just started the station because it is a great mission to have running in real time. We can do these quick launch to rendezvous missions should they succeed on the 4th time. And we still haven't really gotten it to its full potential yet, to what we want to be able to fill up the fuel tanks and potentially send out Moon and even Mars missions. We do have a potential Mars mission planned out right now. And as far as deorbiting goes, I don't think so, but changing its inclination or altitude is always on the table. Once again, this was initially launched as the space station. This was not the collaborative space station, but as more parts got added on by both parties, it became a collaborative endeavor, and the name was given to it.
So are there plans to continue to expand the vessel at this time?
Currently, we need the station escape modules and our cupola module going on the end right over here. I'll point it out for you. We left this spot for it.
Excellent. Are there plans in the future to potentially need to deorbit this station? What would that timeline look like?
Yeah, deorbiting, I don't quite think so. We have deorbited parts that did not work. We had some panels that had a funky disco kraken problem that had to get jettisoned and sent back into the atmosphere. And these were the replacements for those. But the craft as a whole, probably not anytime soon. There are no plans.
Do you believe that Spez and CASA will need to have their own operational stations separately at some point?
I would imagine probably not. It is easier logistically for us to have one point that we're both working from, and that is the same with the moon. We have the moon station, which I believe tomorrow or the next day will be reaching its mark and getting into its final position around the moon. And this is going to be a similar project where we will have facilities, extra fuel, and docking ports for craft to take off from or land on the lunar surface and back, a general hub in orbit for our Kerbals.
One of the questions here in the chat, what does SPES versus CASA versus CAPS actually stand for?
Ooh boy. So SPES stands for the Space People Exploring Space. And CASA stands for the Kerbal Association of Space Adventure. And finally, CAPS is the Collaborative Association of People in Space.
And what would you say is the primary focus of your organization?
We are focused on broad reach. We want to get places. We want to have views, pictures, data from all sorts of bodies all around the solar system.
Now, Funky Disco Kraken seems to be a fraudulent rebranding by the Kraken to seem less bad. Is this intentional Kraken washing by you as a member of the space agencies?
Well, I would say that it's more of a fear reaction. I love the Kraken, but I also fear it in its own way. If we let its fear in and we don't accept it in its beauty, it will tear us apart, and especially our ships. We look at it, we laugh, we accept it, we deal with it.
What is the eventual plan for expansions around the moon?
Now, the moon, ultimately, I think will be used for training Kerbals. We're going to get there, we're going to be going to all sorts of different biomes, and that's going to be mainly made possible through the moon station and the landers that we will be sending.
Do you think eventually Spez and Casa will be in competition with each other, or is the intent for it to always be a collaborative initiative?
Now, there are some aspects in where we are competing. I am not an actual pilot. I could not make a plane for the life of me. That is Radish's wheelhouse. He is a licensed pilot in real life and understands airfoils and wings and propellers and all those beautiful aero forces, where I like the rockets that go boom into space.
I like the phrase "boom into space." We need that one.
They boom into space.
They boom into space. What sort of small probes are you planning on constructing, and where would you like to construct them?
So a small probe that is potentially in the works right now is going to be the Neptune mission. We are coming up on our Neptune window, and we are potentially planning another high-speed mission similar to that of Kronos, but instead of Pluto, it's going to Neptune. There will be a public forum on this coming up soon, and 7 days after that, we will be launching the craft that the taxpayers and Radish and myself will be coming up with in the VAB at the taxpayer forum.
Excellent. Excellent work so far. To go over to some of the questions and items from the Discord, it looks here as though... looking here. Are there any plans to work in free IVA in order to improve Kerbal experience on the station and free them from their seatbelt menace?
Wow, I would actually really love that.
It's a good idea, I think.
That is actually a mod I've never personally interacted with, but I would love to give that a try, especially since, yeah, it's no fun seeing them in the seatbelts all day.
They do seem
on
a little trapped, don't
side
they?
note here, we are officially 5 minutes within the time mark for sunrise. 5 minutes to sunrise.
Excellent. 5 minutes to sunrise. Well, let's do just a few more and wrap it up, and we'll keep going from there. Looking here. Does 2 + 2 equal fish?
Only on Kerbin, but this is Earth.
This is Earth, so yeah, that Kerbin math doesn't work anymore. 366 kilometers up above the planet in orbit. We have some astronauts who are there for the first time. Looking at them on the screen right now, they seem overjoyed to be there. How are you feeling right now?
Man, absolutely wonderful. Excited to get Kaylee out, move her around, see what we can do. It's mostly going to be starting with placing maintenance ladders. I do prefer to do my construction while the engineer is firmly fixed to a ladder, so that does not cause any extra problems during the construction phase.
And then let me look here. We'll do one last question while we prepare for EVA. looking here. How long will the crew members be staying for?
Both Yuri and Kaylee will be staying for a tenure of 1 month starting today. They will be coming back in exactly 30 days. Scott Kent will be sent back, will be picked up by a return crew for the crew transfer. 3 more Kerbals will be coming up, and the scientist of that crew will be staying behind while the others leave. And that will, I think, occur in about maybe 1 week's time. We have about 39 days until Scott is needed for the Polyphemus mission.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Well, Grateful Deadbeat, wonderful job on the Ascent today, and thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
And thank you for hosting us.
As we come up now, I have the timer once again entered up here onto the screen. We can see that we're at 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 20 seconds past the launch time, which occurred out of China earlier this evening, just after noon local time in China, and intersected with the station for an intercept and docking in less than 30 minutes. We've just completed a press conference with the flight director, launch director, Grateful Deadbeat, who was able to give us insight into the status of the mission. The current plan for station EVA operations to begin is at sunrise here, which should be coming up within the next 20 minutes. I do want to address some of the remaining items that were left over in the chat. One, will there be local elections or polls held for the taxpayers in regards to future decisions? The answer is yes. We'll be hosting a series of public forums and town halls and discussions, all of which will be scheduled on the mission calendar for various missions, public decisions, namings of agencies, renamings of vessels, memorial services, holidays. The goal is to have this be a community-oriented event, but it is important to understand that due to the practicality of us two having real lives, there will be some level of executive fiat. Looking now, if we peek at the stream, we can see the sun just about to come up right as Grateful Deadbeat predicted, which is a sign that we'll be beginning station operations here very shortly. And just as that sun comes up through the atmosphere, we can see Scott Kent's first sunrise in space around Earth. Some additional questions, one from Hound Brash. Can you comment on the absurd amounts of debris left in low Earth orbit? Debris during the early days of the server, due to resource limitations, lack of visibility on the issue at the time, before items like the website map view existed, it was not really possible for us to get a handle on the initial problem of space debris. I will say now it is a primary focus of vessel design and in general the work that we do. So I do want the concerned taxpayer to understand that we take the problem of space debris, especially low Earth orbit space debris, very seriously, and that if it is a problem, it is most likely because the project to get rid of the space debris was canceled due to a taxpayer not paying their taxes, and that we are altruists who do this from the goodness of our own hearts. Another question. What API do you guys use for the real-time website to translate the Luna multiplayer orbits to something parsable? It is a hand written program that does all of the parsing. And does it via an SSH connection, or used to. I guess they're on the same box now. And just reads the raw vessel files. Some more questions. Will there eventually be the orbital construction of small probes around the moon? There's some nice small probes around the moon right now. The Spec Benson Lunar Orbiter is one of them, some lunar relays as well. I strongly suggest you check them out in the map website, or some of them are filtered onto the live Twitch stream as well. And we have a note from the flight director that Kerbals are preparing to begin EVA. Once again, this first EVA is focused on reviewing the status of the collaborative space station, which has been uninhabited for a number of days, 2 weeks now. Furthermore, we will be reviewing items from the Kraken attack earlier today that may or may not have damaged some portions of the robotic parts of the station. We're getting live views now of the active EVA of Kaylee Keston around the collaborative space station, as she looks for any incidents, signs, or continuing symptoms of the Kraken attack from vessel approach earlier this evening. It's been about 50 minutes, 45 minutes since approach to the station. Views now, Kaylee Keston's flashlight showing the backside of the original primary docking node, the attachment point for the solar panels, the crew modules, anything that looks amiss or looks as though it's out of alignment from the initially intended construction. And we have a note here from the crew report that things are looking nominal so far. Going down to the far ending point of the scalable fuel segment. Things are looking okay at the current time. No broken parts. Lights appear to be in alignment. And the docking node and all subsequent nodes appear to be aligned. And from the crew report, one of the crew members has found an errant spherical tank. One errant spherical tank which needs replacement here on the collaborative station. Kaylee Keston now on a ladder attached to the outside of the crew module, taking status of the station and looking for a note of any issues from the earlier Kraken Leighton approach. You can now see here that we're getting a live view of Kaylee Keston, Spez Astronaut, and Chief Engineer of the Collaborative Space Station, doing a live inspection of the panels and the central truss of the station, looking for any evidence or signs of anything amiss from the earlier Kraken attack. And now, with everything looking approximately in place, putting ladders in place for construction and further development of the station without need for more advanced EVA tactics. I see a question to the public resources side. Is the mobile processing ISR unit allowed? Yes, of course it is. In real time, it is extremely ineffective. Very ineffective. And a call out from the mission director. This is the end of the Kaylee Keston EVA at this time. This will be the end of the EVA at this time. So as we watch Kaylee Keston approach and board the crew area inside the station, we get another view there of Yuri, Kaylee, and Scott on their first orbit around the planet Earth as they prepare for life aboard the collaborative space station. We can see inside here the light of the sun coming through the windows inside the crew module. According to the current planned mission schedule, this is the end of EVA and crew activities for the day. We have someone in the audience asking us to press V. Excellent. Well done. You've already done it yourself. Reoriented the craft. So this will be the end of planned activities for the time. If you have been following along since launch earlier today, we appreciate you coming along with us. Launch, of course, was marked down at 4:24:13, May 15th, Universal Coordinated Time. 4:24:13. We can see here via that mission elapsed time, we've are approaching now 90 minutes after launch with successful intercepts to the collaborative space station, plenty of fuel still aboard, and 3 happy crew members acclimating to space in their crew module. This will be the end of our broadcast for the evening. If you've been following along, thank you for joining us. I have been Admiral Radish, your press director, and your flight director, Grateful Deadbeat. Also thanks you for coming along and participating in this launch. We have more videos and live streams planned for the near future, so stay tuned, and we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you again soon, and fly safe.